Yeah. Good evening, guys. And today we will look into query history and caching in Snowflake. And before that, I want to just uh, show you people a couple of things where you can be in touch with Snowflake. Okay. So already, I'm sure if you are following Snowflake, it is growing very rapidly, and it is, if you look at its past quarter growth, it has been very, tremendous in terms of the revenues they are generating, the people or the companies migrating to Snowflake. They have a very good experience going on, and they are, you know, upgrading themselves also on a very big scale, like machine learning and, data science stuff and all that, this cutting edge stuff is being implemented in Snowflake nowadays. And also recently they have launched the Python support with Snowflake. Okay. Although it's in preview stage till now, it's yet to go public, but it's growing very rapidly. So recently, even I think, although it supports structured and semi-structured data, they are also, extending support to completely unstructured data also. So it is growing very rapidly. So, what I'm trying to say is, if you want to become experts and, just, immerse yourself in any technology of your choice. Okay, let's talk about Snowflake for the current thing. You can follow a certain YouTube channels, certain, LinkedIn folks, and also Snowflake Academy. Okay, so let me show you one training website from Snowflake. So there is something called hands-on essentials with Snowflake. Okay? So when you type this, you will obviously get the links, and you can just go and click on anyone. This hands-on skills essentials are there. Okay. So in this, they have quite a few free training workshops.
You are not sharing.
Sorry?
You are not sharing.
We are not able to see.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry. Let me share. Sorry. Yeah, is it good now?
Yes, Abdul.
Okay. So yeah, so I was saying you can type hands-on essentials of Snowflake, and just click on the first link that comes up. So this is a website, Snowflake's website only, and here you will see the free online self-paced courses that they provide. And these are some badge workshops. So when you complete these workshops, you get a badge issued by Snowflake. Okay, so I'll just come to that again. Let me show you the badge that I have got till now. So this is my LinkedIn. Yeah, okay. You see, so I completed 2 workshops, which is data sharing and data warehouse, right? So so what Snowflake does is it issues badges once you complete these workshops. Okay, and these are very, very easy workshops. Okay, although they are little time consuming. Okay, but yes, they're very, very, very easy. So don't start it right away. Okay, my request to you is that don't start it right away. You can if you want. Okay, I'm not stopping anyone, but once we reach the data loading part, once we complete it, right, then if you start this, it will be kind of a revision for you guys. Because if you right away start, some concepts might be new to you, but if you just keep some patience, and by next week or subsequent week, next to next week, we will be completing the data loading and unloading part. From then onwards, you can definitely start these workshops. Okay, so whatever we have studied till that point, right, it will be basically re-emphasizing on those topics, and then it will solidify your learning, right? So these are the workshops. Also, apart from this, there are some things called as level up, level up trainings. Let me just go there on the same website only. Courses, these are your courses. Yeah, this level up series. This is very short series on specific topics. It's very good. You know, it just takes like 15 minutes or so. So we go there. So you have three workshops which are badge oriented, and these are level up series. Very short series on based on some specific topics. For example, there will be a topic. There will be a specific topic on only resource monitors, only caching, like that. Yeah. So I had already created an account in this long back. So you will also have to create like that. So let me show you discover. So yeah, you can click on discover new courses and see. So you have a lot of level up concepts. Okay. So for example, you can have a completely topic oriented small course. Okay. So just say this is related to resource monitoring that we have done till now. Okay. So if you go and click on that, so you will see it's a very small course. Okay. They will give you some references, what to read, what kind of questions will be asked in this particular topic, and then ultimately you can check your knowledge. After going through that material, you can go and check your knowledge, right? So just click on them, and so you don't get any badges as such, but you know, all this will help you for your certification, you know, because this all will clear your concepts. So like for example, right now we are done with resource monitoring, right? So instead of doing those badge workshops, you don't need to do those badge workshops right away. Okay, these three, you don't need to do these three right away. Don't do it. If you want to, you can. I'm not stopping anyone. But I will suggest you go start doing this level up concepts. For example, whatever we have studied, first concepts will be about architecture. There will be some key concepts of ecosystem, accounts and assurances, the container hierarchy. So whatever we have done, right, resource monitoring, you can go and do that. For example, today we will do query caching. So you can just go and do that once we are done with it. So that will actually basically help you to revise as well. And you know, it will embed the concepts in your mind in a very solid way so that you don't forget. Okay. And yeah. So if you go to your LinkedIn's, right, you can go and follow Snowflake profile. Go to them and you can just follow them. They keep coming up with these articles. You know what upgradations they have done, or their what do you call, customer related feedbacks, satisfaction feedbacks, and then you can also follow certain people, certain, you know, big profile people from Snowflake who are from time to time, you know, publishing some or the other articles. So, for example, there was a very good, yeah, see, there's one. So there's something called as a snow day, you know, these Snowflake guys, they keep coming up with this snow day events wherein they explain something, some new feature they have introduced in Snowflake. Okay. So if I go to say YouTube, there is this Snowflake channel only. Okay, so see this Snowflake INC, you know, this is their channel. So if you go to them and see the latest, see, they have introduced this Python on Snowflake. Okay, so this is something called a Snowpark, you know, library that they have introduced in Snowflake recently. So, we all know that for big data processing, there is a very famous tool, which is famous in the market for the big data computational processing. Any one of you knows about it?
Spark.
Exactly, Spark. So Spark is, earlier to tackle the computational, issues with big data, there was this MapReduce, which was part of Hadoop ecosystem, right? So MapReduce was basically hard disk oriented, right? So basically, if you're doing hard disk IO operations, it is quite costly, and as the data grows, ultimately performance issues crop up, right? So to tackle that, people came with Spark. So Spark was basically in-memory calculation or computation. So it used to get data into in-memory, which is your temporary memory, and then do the calculations and do whatever they want to, right? So, and Spark as on its own doesn't have its own storage. It basically connects to different storages, brings the data and does the processing on them. So it's just a computational tool, right? So Snowpark is something on those lines only. Okay. So you can, so as you know, in Spark, you have Scala programming that you can do, because, Spark is already itself written in Scala. Then Java also you can do, and PySpark is there, which is you can do Python programming also in Spark. So similarly, Snowpark, it has support for Scala, Java, and now recently, see, November 16th only, they launched Python on Snowflake. So this is also in the preview stage. It's not yet in the public arena. Okay. So, and Python is an easy programming language to, grasp and, learn also, right? So, and nowadays, guys, if you are a computer engineer, it is mandatory to know Python. So I will suggest, if you're not doing it, or if you've not learned it, please learn it. For you guys who are experienced, it is not very difficult to pick it up. Okay, and especially when you till oops, at least you should do. Okay, because and for especially for the oops part, you should do more practice, because I'm not sure who all are comfortable very much with oops programming. At least I have not. I have been mostly doing the scripting kind of programming, right? Because I have this experience mostly in PL SQL and database programming, so it's mostly scripting kind of format, not using oops. So that's why where I lag. So I'm not sure who else are very comfortable with oops. If you are, then fine. If you're not, then you should practice oops a lot. Okay, at least if you practice continuously for 2-3 months, you will easily get comfortable with oops. All those control functions, if, while, do, this, that is not so difficult. You should not be spending much time on those things. That's nothing, right, for us. So focus on the oops part. And then for database guys, like you're all database guys, then you can go and learn this library called pandas. Okay, so so basically what Python on Snowpark, so basically, okay, not Python only, or if you consider Java also or Scala also, what basically Snowpark is doing is, you can write your Python code. Let's consider Python. You can write your Python code with using this Snowpark library. Okay. Whatever code you write in Python for doing the manipulation of the data, that whole code gets pushed down to Snowflake. That whole Python code. Okay. It goes and gets pushed down to Snowflake area, and it leverages the computational capabilities of Snowflake. So it will basically use the Snowflake warehouses behind the scenes to implement the code, whatever code you have written for data processing, which is why we know that Snowflake has a tremendous scalability when it comes to computational provisioning, right? In terms of warehouses and all. So this whole Python code basically is being moved to Snowflake, and it is getting executed at that level. So that is called as push down optimization also, when you are basically pushing all the code to your Snowflake and getting the work done there using the Snowflake computational powers. So that is a very good feature. So many people are saying that this can be a game changer, and can give good fight to to Spark. Okay, so if you go to this channel, and you can also keep following these guys. See, this is something called a snow day. Uh, they will all come gather and tell you about the recent upgrades that they have done. For example, this was a very recent Python on Snowflake, like 3 weeks ago. Then this is cross cloud community, how you can share data between cross clouds. So this is all very good, because you can this will keep your interest also alive during the whole week when we are not connecting. So you will keep learning new things. And please, if you don't understand some topic, for example, this is cross cloud, we have not done the replication part yet, we have not come to it, and still you decide to watch it, and if you don't understand it, fine, not a problem, it's okay, because we will be covering anyway. But if you see it today, and when we cover it, that time it will make your understanding more clear, and once we are done with it, you can again go revisit this video. So that is how you can over the week utilize and strengthen your command on Snowflake. So being data guys, if you are all, I'm sure all are data guys, Snowflake, if you have decided to learn Snowflake, just try to become expert. Try to learn it from that perspective. So follow these few things, like Snowflake channel. Then I just told you about this LinkedIn, and I also gave you this Snowflake Academy, right? This one, level up courses. You can start with level up courses, very short courses. They will hardly take 15-20 minutes, maximum 30 minutes for you. Okay, and take it slow, take it easy. Don't worry that we need to complete everything at one. So this is it. Few I just wanted to share a few resources on the net which will keep your interest also alive, and which will keep your understanding of Snowflake also going into a good, clear direction. Any questions on this?
No. Actually, it was a nice, interesting article.
Okay, thank you guys. And yeah, so in the previous batch, a couple of my students completed the badges. So, and they told me that whatever we learned, they really had a good chance to revise it, and they really felt good that because they already knew those things, and when they were doing the workshop, so they became more confident that okay, we already know these things, and if something was missed from their side in terms of understanding, it got reinforced in their minds. So this is a good activity. You just keep in touch with Snowflake over the week. So let's get back to the topics at hand. So yes, so guys, we'll cover query history, which is a very small topic, and then we'll get into caching also. So there's any query that we fire in Snowflake, okay, as you know, it generates a unique ID from Snowflake, through which you can go traverse back to that particular query and see details. And Snowflake provides us a tab also here called history. Basically, it's called a ribbon item. This ribbon item also you can click and get to see what the queries that you have fired in the past, or current queries that you have fired, whatever it is. So let me go and fire a few queries just for our understanding. Okay, so this is data. Now what will happen is either you can go from this ribbon item, okay, or either you can go from here also, this open history. If you open it, you will see today's queries that you have fired. Okay, and from here you can directly go to that particular query by clicking on the query ID. Okay, so this is a unique ID which is generated, or you can go to history. Here also you will see various queries that have been fired for the past 14 days. So this view here that you are seeing, it keeps track of all the queries that are fired from the past 14 days. And for example, this query that we just fired, it will keep remaining in the history tab, the history portion for next 14 days. After 15th day, it will disappear from there. Okay. So here also you can click and go. I have here filtered based on, so there are various filters that you can set here and get the data accordingly. So I have put it on my user. I'll just keep it any. So which means any user related to this account who has fired any query, I can see it here for the past, for the next 14 days. So either, as I said, either you can go from here or there. So if I go from here, it will take me to two tabs specific to that query only, which is the details tab and the profile tab. Okay. So if I go back again here, so I can also either come from here or I can come from here also. The latest query will be on the top. And if you click on here, it will show you what query you have fired. And if you click on this query ID, it will take you to the details and profile patch. See if this, so it will tell you the different attributes of this query. So this, the username, what warehouse you used, which cluster was used, what is the size, and this is your session ID from where you have fired your query. Okay. So if you recall, we can have section retrieved by this context function called current underscore session. If I click it, it will show me the session of this particular page or worksheet that we're finding. And even this is, since this is a query, it goes and gets itself registered in the history, right? And here you will see all the today's queries that you have fired. And here you will see all the past 14 days. If you go to this here, and if I go here and refresh it, so you will see this query also has come. Okay. And this is the session ID 886 and 886. And if I fire the same query, or maybe any other query for that matter, from another worksheet, and if I go to, I can go from here also. So this is this session related history that is being shown up. Or if I go to the common history tab and refresh it, so I'll get this. And this session is different, as you can see, 890, right? So all these are different sessions. 890. Coming back. So what time you started, what was the end time, total duration, obviously. If you want to know what was the duration time, and this, how much bytes were scanned from that particular table. And this is the client information. So from where that query was fired, which was the client. Okay. So this is for UI. So this is our web UI for Snowflake, right? So here, from here only we fired those queries. So it will tell you the name of that particular client from where you have fired. Now you can fire Snowflake queries from so many areas, right? If you have connected it with, say, a BI tool like Power BI or Tableau, you can fire those queries from there also. So here it will start to show up their names. Okay. So as you know, any database comes up with its own command line interface also, right? For Oracle, you don't have to go to SQL developer only to, fire your queries. You can go to SQL Plus also. So similarly, for Snowflake, there is a command line interface tool called as SnowSQL. So if you go to help and downloads, you will see this CLI client SnowSQL. So this also we are going to download when we come to data loading part. Okay. And there are so many other places which other, technologies you can connect to Snowflake, JDBC, ODBC, Python components, Spark, so many, Go language. So when you fire from these connectors, here those particular connector names will start to appear. So this is nothing but from where did you fire that Snowflake query? Okay. Then obviously this is your rows, how many rows were retrieved and all that. So if it's a table, it will show you what all rows, how many rows were retrieved. So these, and you can also filter based on your requirement, which user, which warehouse, which query ID and all that. Okay. But there is also a function called select last query ID. Okay. So this will give you the last query which was fired, the ID of the last query that was fired, always. So if we just copy paste this and go to history, and this is the last query fired, right? Let me finish. Which was that? 3634E. Okay, let's go and try to filter it from that and see. Query ID. Okay, so this is the last query that I had fired. If I go and fire this, the table one, and if I do the last query, yeah, see this one. So this will basically give you the immediate last query ID which you had fired. Okay. And then under them also, under this also you can, since this is a function, context function. So obviously you can pass certain parameters also to here. You can go and explore in the documentation, but if you pass certain values, I think it will give you the second last, third last, something like that. So if I say 1, so if I pass this, yeah, 886. So it is giving the query ID of 886. I think this was 886. If you give 2, okay, so it is giving back the first one. So there is some parameters also that you can pass. Normally we don't use those parameters much. If you have interest, you can just go and see. Say returns the ID of a specified query in the current session. If no query is specified, the most recently executed query is returned. Default is -1. So if you say 1, returns the first query, returns the second query, and returns the sixth query, and so on. Okay. So if you pass as positive, if you pass as negative, it returns the most recently executed query, returns the second most recently executed query, like that. Okay. So
Abdul,
yeah,
instead of going to the history tab and all right, is there any way I have any metadata table to see all the queries recently executed?
yes, there is. Okay, so this is all about the history tab. Okay, and as you know, this keeps only the past 14 days data. So obviously, when we are going to this part of the UI, the history ribbon item, this has to come from some metadata only, right? So from where is this particular metadata coming? That is from your history views. Okay, some history views are there. From there it is coming. So let's look at them what all history views we have. Yeah. So in the information schema, you have a lot of history, query history related of views. So if you go to the DB information schema, okay. So these are not history views, sorry, these are table functions. These are table functions. So if you go to the documentation, but I think you have query history view in account usage. Let me see that. So as you can see, I'm not able to see the Snowflake database. Okay, now I have it. Yeah, so you have query history at the account usage level view, but on the information schema, you have what you call table functions. So see, it has got all these queries that you fired, and this has got more information in terms of which role, what kind of economy policy that warehouse follows. Tons of information. And if I try to go and filter it on some query ID, I can do that as well. Yeah. So this is also metadata information which you can use at the account usage level. And as I said, there are few table functions also provided, which are part of information schema. So this is the one where you get all the query history. It's called as query history function. Okay. And if you go to the documentation part, there's why I keep going to documentation, because it's documentation for Snowflake is very important as far as certification is concerned. Okay, you should always have a habit of referring to documentation. So if you see the list of table functions that come under the information schema, right? So you will have a lot of them related to query history. If you click on them, it will show you what all query history related information you can retrieve. Okay. So query history, it returns queries within a specified time range, then by session, by user, by warehouses. And if you go and see the retention time, like what is the retention time here, date retention. So it says 7, right? If you see here, it says 7. That means queries from the past 7 days you can retrieve from here. But query which is from account usage, this one, you can keep it, you can get the 1 year query history from this. for the past 1 year, which is at the account usage view. Okay, so table function just retains those metadata for the next 7 days, and query history can keep for the last 365 days. So this is, if you lose some, I mean, if you want something very old, you can go and get it from here also. So let's quickly look at a few table functions. I mean, it's one and the same. Most of them give the same information only as far as metadata is concerned, the users, the warehouses. Let's see what's the problem. Yeah. See what all queries I had fired. So almost the same metadata only you will get. And to this query history also, you can pass certain parameters based on the specific time range you want. Okay, but obviously it has to fall under the next 7 days only. So I will anyway share all this with you. So you can pass the time range here. Right. So if you see here, it says what is the start time and what is the end time, and you can pass that particular time. So these are your SQL functions only. 2 times time, local time zone. You can specify a particular date and give that and fire that query. So here, if I just go and maybe fire this one, today's date is 12. And if I want to say search for the past 7 days, so let's try from 3rd December till today. See what it says. Cannot retrieve data from for more than 7 days ago. So that is why, because we have crossed the retention period. So let me just reduce it from 5th December to 11th December. So whatever was fired from 5th to 11th, we can go and see. You can just go from 5th to 6th also. Just that one day what all was fired. So these queries are all from my previous batch, what I had fired for them. So you can see like this, you can pass the date range also. And the other ones are quite simple. If you want to query by session IDs, warehouses and users, like that also you can do. So for example, if I go with this one, okay. And one thing to note, guys, here is, so since this is an information schema table view, okay, so obviously you will see that particular database only, because uh, we are firing the table view, or sorry, table function for information schema, and we know that each database when created has by default 2 schemas. One is information schema. So if you're finding any query history, you will be basically looking at that particular database only. But as far as account usage is concerned, it will be based on all the databases under your account. So that is the difference. And if you see some are null here, for example, if you see this drop network policy and maybe some more here, some alter related. Okay, so objects that don't come under your at your database level, right? For that you will get none, because I had created network policies which are basically at the account level, right? So it's not under any database level. So there you will see none, but the rest all queries will be related to your database only. So for example, let's go and fire some other database query, maybe in sample schema. Okay, I have some data there. Need to give the table name also. Does not exist. So this is one of my old tables here. So if I have fired this query now, and if I go and check the information history here, okay, yeah. Okay, so it is giving for the other databases also, guys. So I don't think it is just related to that particular database. It is giving for others also. So yeah, you can get the query history at the account level. So query history is at the account level always. You will get all the details from here. And
Abdul,
yeah,
you said information schema, right?
yeah, information schema.
The information schema is at which database?
I have used sample DB here, right? But this is not returning database wise. This is returning at the account level only, the whole thing.
Yeah, but I just want to know the information schema.
Yeah.
There should be some database, right? The schema.
Yeah.
Sample DB.
No, that's what I'm saying. Even if I fire it for sample DB information schemas, there are certain views and certain table functions which give you all the information related to that account as a whole. So if you remember, I think you only had asked this question earlier also. If we look at the definition, it was mentioned there, right? That it gives account level information also. Yeah. See, view for all objects contained in the database as well as views for account level objects. Table functions for historical and usage data across your account. Okay, so there are certain table functions and views which give you your data across the account, irrespective of the database. Okay, so I thought it will give you only for database, but I just checked now. So it is basically giving all the historical usage for all the databases in your account. Even if you go and fire it in demo DB, this is now we are in demo DB, and let me make it demo DB. See, it is giving you sample DB also here. Okay, so I think you wanted to ask this only, right?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, it's not like that. I mean, yes, something will be particular to that information schema or belonging to that databases, but there might be other information which you will get at account level also.
Yes,
Even
it means that every database will have an information schema. The
Yeah.
information schema, the query history will have the data of the particular database as well as account level information.
yes, correct. And you can then do your filters also based on any particular database you want to see. You can do a filter also. Add your where conditions. And then these are very simple queries, guys. We will not spend much time on this. I'll just show you one. So if you want to see what those queries were fired by a particular warehouse, that also you can see. The number of bytes scanned, total time elapsed, so many other parameters. Okay. Say if I go and fire on external database query. So this is an shared database, not external, shared database. If you go and fire that, say table, some query on that table, and I had already told you about this database, if you remember why it's used, right? And why you have same schemas, I mean, not same schemas, but same tables under these schemas. So if you see this factor 1, 10, 100,000, it is, you can multiply the amount of data in each table. So if it's for one, if it is in customer tables for SF1, if it is 150, 1,50,000, you can multiply it by 10 for the next level, 10, 100, and so on. So this is provided by Snowflake only. So I just fired a query on shared database of Snowflake sample data. And if I go and so firstly here, okay, so I'm not seeing any data for this here, but if I go to query history account usage of query history on, Source session. So many worksheets where did I file that query? Let me find it again. Okay, I just want to see the session. This is 890. So this is by session. Daily name also we can try to give. I'm just trying to check if it gives the shared database also. It's not giving for shared database, but here it should. Yeah, here it is giving. Let's take this query ID. Query history. Yeah. Yeah, for shared databases also, you can check the query here. And some other important points to remember, we saw already about the data retention periods for various query histories. And some other points that you remember, that you can also download your data for the past, whatever is that, in the next 24 hours. Okay, so if you say file some query, we have filed so many queries here, we'll go back to them and say if we go here, I told you that we can go to query ID and click. So we'll get 2 pages and you will get all the details here, username and all that. And this data set you can export. But I think there is a limit to it. We cannot export so many. It's okay, good. So you have, how much data is this? This is 10 MB. Okay. And similarly, if we fire on say more amount of data, this is 100 MB. So let's fire more. This is 1 GB. Okay, we'll try to export this. In the meantime, the one that I have exported, okay, so you can see this. You have exported this data, and only for the past, I mean, only for the next 24 hours you will be able to download it. Although you can still see the query and its results in your query history tab. If you go there, you can see this, but it will not allow you to download. And see this here, we have retrieved 1 GB, right? So let's go back again to history. Go back to history tab here, and let's refresh. This is the latest one. See, 1 GB data is the one we have retrieved, 115 million rows. I try to export. Okay, so it will allow you to export up to certain limit only. It cannot export, I mean, very big data. Up to 100 MB only it's allowing to export. Okay, so yeah, and the other thing is that other users can view the queries, but they cannot view the result set. They will not be able to see this data here. They can see what queries you have fired, but they cannot see this data that is coming up. So I think last time Venkat had asked, I mean, something that is it possible to not see the query itself or hide the query from other users, what query you have fired, and only account admin must be able to see it, right, Venkat? That was the question, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I did try to see in the documentation, but I could not find any such provision to limit the query history for other users. Like should not be able to see other users' history. I could not find anything in the documentation. But yes, you will not be able to view the results. That protection is there. Okay. So yeah, this is all about query history, not much. I had also shown you last time, if you go to other user, try to see, then also you can see it. Let me probably log into one of them, show it again.
They don't have any delete or drop on this table, right?
Sorry.
The metadata table will not be allowed to delete or drop, right?
On the query history table, this one. Yeah, if you delete some table, for example, if I delete something, if I delete this, say,
I'm asking queries. We're not able to delete any queries, right?
no, you cannot. So you are saying, for example, whatever query is coming or whatever data is coming in this query history table, can you delete here, right? That's what you're asking. Can you delete some entries from this view, right? No, you cannot. These are only read only. So any information schema, if you go, these are views, or either they will have table functions, and it is read only schema. You cannot do any DMLs on them. Okay, so each database created in your account automatically includes a built-in read-only schema. Okay, so this schema is only read-only. So anything that will come as any object that will come as part of the schema, whether it's a view or whether it is a table function, you cannot do any DMLs on them. So let me log in with one user. Okay, and if I go and query by history, see, so I'm able to see the query history across the account. Okay, so any user, I mean, this is the user I've been firing queries, right? So if I go and see, okay, he has fired this query, so I can go and click on his query ID and I can see the details. So see, I'm not able to see the query result. As it says, results are only available to that particular user, whoever had fired it. And I will obviously then I will not be able to download also anyway. And if it is related to my user, I can definitely go and get the results. But as you see, the results for this query have expired because it keeps only for the next 24 hours. That's why it says the result for this query has expired. Okay. So this is all about query history view, or not query history view, but overall query history and the different views and different metadata that you can gather from here. So yeah, before moving on to caching, any doubts on this? Okay. So guys, let's start with this new topic called caching. And what I will ask you to do is, once we go through this topic today, you can go to the level up series here. Okay. And you can just refresh your understanding through this query history and caching. And they will offer you some quizzes at the end. You can do that also. Okay. So guys, it's first important to understand the architecture of Snowflake, which we already
multiple text or which
multiple what? Sorry, multiple.
For the quiz, in the quiz I'm asking. Here the first time I'm getting the say mark. Is that I can opt for second time or which will be or one time?
Today your internet is having some problem, I think, Venkat. Not able to understand, but what I think that you're asking is, can you take the quiz multiple times? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, that only I asked Abdul. Yeah, okay.
Okay, yeah. You can take multiple times. Yes. But for the badges, right? For the workshops, if you if they fail you, because it is going to be a to and fro workshop, you will be submitting certain things to Snowflake. Snowflake will send you back the review of what you have done. So in that, if you fail, for the next 30 days, you cannot appear for the workshop again. Okay. But for the level up series, it is like multiple times you can take it, not a problem. Not the same case with workshop. So that's why I'm saying don't attempt the workshop right now. I will tell you the right time to start it. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, coming back to caching, like everybody knows what caching is, right? So it is basically the purpose of using the caching is, the bottom line is to increase the performance, right? So caching and cache memories are nothing but your temporary areas or temporary memory areas where you get in your data from your permanent storage like a hard disk. You get that data into your caching area or caching memory, and then your computation layer will do whatever processing it wants to do, which will avoid the IOs, read and write IOs, right? To and fro, reading from hard disk and writing onto hard disk. That IO will be saved because of caching. Obviously, you will have to read for the first time, and you will also have to write uh, for the last time. You will have to do that. It's not that it completely, removes that layer, but yes, to not have to and fro frequent reads and writes, if we have internal memory between the computation layer and the hard disk or permanent storage, where you bring in the data into that internal temporary area, which is also called as caching area or cache memory, and you do your work. So every one of us knows this concept, right? So how Snowflake does, we will understand that. So as you know, there are three layers, right? Service layer, compute layer, and storage layer. So storage layer is where your permanent data is residing. Okay, if it is AWS, it will be S3 buckets in the background, basically, right? So to understand that, let's first quickly revise the layers that we had studied. So service layer is what? Which accepts the SQL queries from users. It coordinates queries, manages transactions and results. Logically, this can be assumed to hold a result cache, a cached copy of the results of every query executed. Just forget that, we'll talk about it. Then compute layer is, which actually does the heavy lifting. This is where the actual SQL is executed across the nodes of a virtual data warehouse. This layer holds a cache of data queried and is often referred to as local disk IO, although in reality, this is implemented using SSD storage. All data in computer layer is temporary and only held as long as the virtual warehouse is active. Storage layer, which provides long-term storage of results. This is often referred to as remote disk and is currently implemented on either Amazon S3 or Microsoft Blob Storage. And for Google, it is Google Buckets. So what happens, guys, is when a query is issued from a user or some client, okay? So as you can see in this diagram, there are certain clients like ETL processing, data scientists, business intelligence guys. They will all fire their queries, right? So that first is obviously received by the service layer, okay, which is also the brain of the Snowflake architecture. It will do all the authentications, authorizations, and it will also create the optimization plans, and it will pass it on to your virtual warehouse. So let's consider that ETL processing. It is not ETL processing. Let's say a data scientist. They have issued a query to service layer. So what your service layer authenticates, checks metadata, everything, and then passes on to warehouse. So warehouse will now know what all to bring from your storage area, and it gets it for you. Okay, so this is the first ever time that query was fired. So, and how virtual warehouse will do is, it will bring that remote data from the third layer or the storage layer into its own memory area. So every warehouse, each node, right? So ultimately, each node is nothing but a commodity hardware, which is a computer itself. And if we talk about AWS, these are EC2 machines, right? And EC2 machines are nothing but your servers only, virtual servers, or you can say virtual computers. So any computer or laptop that we use, it has got processor, it has its own RAM, and it has got its own permanent storage or SSD, solid state drives, right? So each node here also has those components because it's ultimately a computer only. So uh, it brings that particular data from the storage area into its own memory here, in the compute layer memory, computer memory, and that is a solid state drive, and it gets it there, and then it does all the computation on that. Okay, so that is called as virtual warehouse cache or the local cache, okay, which is residing at the warehouse level. That is called the local disk cache. right? And this cannot be called as cache. It is not a cache. It's a permanent storage, and it is called as remote disk also. Okay. So next time when this particular client fires the same query again, okay, same query it has fired, that time service layer has also got its own cache area. Okay, it has got two caches. Service layer has got two caches. One is called result cache and the other is called metadata cache. Okay, so we will talk about metadata cache a bit later, but let's talk about result cache. So for the first time when this data scientist fired a query, it cache service layer sent it to compute warehouse got the data into its own local cache, did the processing, and it returns back to service layer, right? And when service layer also returns it back to the client to show the results. So that time it stores all the data, all the result basically, not the data, the result of that query into its own result cache area memory. So when the next time, in the second time or third time, when this person again fires that same query, instead of going to these layers here, issuing it to compute warehouse, and then it gets back the data from here, permanent storage, it checks whether that data is there in the result cache. If the data is there and the underlying tables in that query have not, their underlying data has not changed over the time, it will simply give the result back from the result cache itself. It will not go to these levels. So which makes it quite fast. Okay. And it does it for every query that you fire in the system. Unlike the traditional databases where, sometimes you have to specify, okay, just cache these queries or just cache these procedure result sets. And also that there is a background algorithm going on behind the scenes, which is the least used cache up till now, clear it out. So it doesn't happen like that. Okay. So for any query that you fire, it will go and store in its result cache. And cache memory storage is not chargeable. You don't get charged for it. Okay. So see, this picture will clarify. At the cloud service layer, you have result cache. At the warehouse level, or the muscle of the system, which is called as also local disk cache and remote disk. This is the permanent storage, S3 or Blob or Google Bucket. So let's just read about them quickly. Result cache, it holds the result of every query executed in the past 24 hours. These are available across virtual warehouse. So query results returned to one user is available to any other user of the system who executes the same query, provided the underlying data has not changed. Okay, so say if this second user fired certain query and it got into your result cache. So this guy, if he also fires the same query, he will be able to get it from the result cache itself. And any other warehouse also, if it is using, doesn't matter. Similarly for this guy. And for the next 24 hours only, that result will be there in your result cache. So such a good feature, right? Any user using any warehouse can take advantage of this result cache. And normally, where do we see this? In the BI reporting, right? So you have got your dashboards, say on your Power BI or Tableau, and different users are using that dashboard and trying to. Normally, the queries don't change there, right? You have one query and you just keep on checking the reports from there. So until and unless the underlying data of that table changes, you will not see any change in the data also. So they take advantage of this result cache from Snowflake. So this is what result cache is. It is at the level of cloud service layer. Let's look at local disk cache, which is used to cache data used by SQL queries. Whenever data is needed for a given query, it's received retrieved from remote disk and cached in SSD and memory. So as I said, there's a local disk cache residing at the warehouse level. Whenever it needs to get data from the permanent storage, it first brings it to that cache and then does the computation on it. Okay. So next time, suppose same query is again fired, and that time, suppose your result cache is empty, or if you for some reason there's no data in the result cache, or you have turned off the setting saying that I don't want to use result cache, then the second time also it will not go to permanent storage. It will take the data from here only, provided there's a change. I mean, if there's a change in the data, then obviously it will not. It will have to get it from here only. But even if this upper layer is not working for some reason, still you have this caching available also. Okay. And this cache will be, for example, so as we said, as we know, result cache is available for 24 hours. This local disk cache result will be available till the time your warehouse is active. Once you suspend the warehouse, the cache gets cleared at the warehouse level, which is the local cache. It gets cleared out. Okay, so here it is what it said. All the data in the computer is temporary and only held as long as the virtual warehouse is active. Okay, so we are going to do demo and see all this also. So as long as your warehouse is active, that data will remain there. Once it's what you call removed or say suspended, the cache gets cleared. Okay. Then your remote disk, obviously it's going to be permanent, and it's not called cache, by the way. Okay, this should not be misleading. So that's why I'm changing this. It's either cache or memory layers, because if they ask you in certification, you can in question, you should not say that remote disk is cache. So that's why I changed the heading. So this remote disk, it holds a long-term storage. This level is responsible for data resilience. Okay, data resilience means for the high availability and to ensure that that data is available always, which in case of Amazon Web Services means so much durability. So this is a factor which comes from S3 bucket in case of Amazon. Okay, so this 0.99999 is a S3 factor actually. Even in the event of an entire data center failure. So basically, we are behind the scenes in case of AWS, we're using S3, right? So in case that goes down, that region or that data, so that S3 will be somewhere physically located in some data center, right? If you have hosted this on in Mumbai region, right? So we all know that when we create an account, we need to specify region also. So if we have selected a region, example Mumbai, so basically we are saying that that S3 that we're going to use for our account is somewhere in Mumbai region in some data center. So if that goes down, still you should be getting this data. So S3, so Amazon basically does this replication and backups in other availability zones and all. So through that it recovers the data in case of a failure or downtime or whatever reason your data center goes. Primary data center where your SS3, which is a primary location, if it goes down, it can give it back to you. Then there is metadata.
Okay, that is up to the S3 type. If you choose one zone, right, one zone, or if you decide to store only in a particular region.
Shiva, can you be a bit loud? I am not able to hear you.
Yeah, are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, that is based on what S3 type that you are using, data storage type. There are different types of S3s, right? Storage types, class,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
S3 multi-zone, multi-region, and it's a single zone. If it is a single zone, if you don't care about the data, if you want to save money, you can limit your data storage only in the one region. You know that's one of the major last week AWS East, right? East one got down for 2 days. You know that?
No, no, not aware.
No, last week, which you know the AWS biggest and the first region,
Mhm.
US East or West, right? West Virginia region, that was down for 2 days. The
Okay.
entire AWS application was down for 2 days.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if you decide that your data can be stored only in the one region, right? The 2 days, right? You cannot have the application running. 2 days, your business is gone.
Right.
But if you have the S3 has multi-region enabled, right? Then you can bring up the application by switching back to your another region. Last week, I think it was a very big news across the globe. AWS East region one was down for 2 days.
I think I heard it somewhere, but I
Yeah,
don't
it was a
recall it.
major setback. It was a major setback for AWS. The availability there is become less than the 99.9999, right?
Yeah.
I think that was gone.
Okay.
That is why the reason is 99999. It's not 100.
Obviously. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. So no cloud will say 100% ever. And even
Many
when
application, Netflix, whoever major vendor of AWS, right? They all have the application down for 1 or 2 days.
but
Yes.
they might have selected multi-zone settings anyway, right?
No, not required. Right? Not all the application needs to be enabled the multi-region.
No,
Right?
I'm talking about
There are
Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix. Yeah, not all the service in the Netflix. Netflix itself, right? They classify the data. They will separate the data requirement based on the actual need.
Okay.
Not Netflix will not store all of their data, right, into multi-zone, multi-region mode. Maybe they choose some data. They may say, okay, it is enough. They will recover, right? After 2 days, they will recover, but the third day if they are recovering, right, they
Yeah.
cannot they will get only data before 2 days, right?
Correct.
After
Correct.
2 days they lost business, right? They cannot run their business. For some application they may write, okay, it is end zone, it is not required, it is not highly being used, it is enough if you have the data in only one region.
Right. Right.
That happened last week.
Okay. Okay. So as far as choosing the S3 is concerned, right? It is basically Snowflake is a cloud agnostic, warehouse. By saying cloud agnostic, it means that, behind the scenes, for example, you might also ask that what is, so there are in EC2 also, there are so many configurations, T1, T2, and all that, right? Micro and all that. So there might be a question like, which exactly, EC2 are we using? So Snowflake is cloud agnostic. It basically hides, everything that is behind it. What kind of services using?
Based on the warehouse that you are selecting, right? Internally, the Snowflake may choose some EC2 instance type, right?
Yes, yes.
Right. For example, if you take small or extra small, if you choose this many clusters and all, right? Internally, the agnostic you are telling, right, which means that Snowflake is hiding the things and choosing some instance type internally, that
Right.
it is not be discovered by user.
Exactly. Exactly. And there is something called as, in case of an event failure, right? If the whole data warehouse goes down due to something, so there's something called as replication that Snowflake gives you, a replication facility. So when we are doing this data sharing topic, right, that time I will show you like how it does replication and all. So yeah, can we move forward, Shiva? Is that you wanted to say?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for sharing that with all of us. Then, yeah, at the warehouse level, there's one more cache called as metadata cache. So it will hold the objects information and the statistics. So this is why, when we say there is so much of less work to do as far as performance management is concerned, because if you look at the traditional databases, you need to update or your DBA teams, they need to keep updating the statistics of the information. of the objects information on a day-to-day basis or weekly basis as per their you know uh, housekeeping scripts. But in case of Snowflake, all that is managed by that layer, this service layer itself. You don't have to worry about it. That is why there is so much of less of administration and DBA work in Snowflake. Okay, so this is the metadata cache where your latest statistics of the objects are held. Okay, so let's do some demo. So this is what we are going to do. Okay, so we are going to first run from cold. What run from cold means is that we will start a virtual warehouse with no call this caching and execute a query. Okay, so if this means it is first time we are firing a query and the data is actually being retrieved from the remote disk. So we'll try to fire those queries. Let me just go to, I'll just close all this, creates a lot of confusion. Okay. And we will go and suspend our warehouse. Okay, it's already suspended. Good. And we will go to this 100 one. 3 GB. Okay. So this part supplier data, guys, it is 3.5 GB. Okay. So you can also go and see what it is doing. So already it has got the query ID created. And if you click on the query ID, I told you it takes to these two tabs, details and profile. And as you can see, you can see the amount of data being retrieved at each level. Okay. So out of 3.5, if you auto refresh it, almost 2 GB are retrieved, that is 53%, and 27, around 28 million rows have been retrieved. And if you go to the profile is basically where your actual optimization plan is visible. Okay, so the service layer which creates that plan, right? That is visible. So moving on. Yeah, see, it's got completed, I think. Yeah. So see, it says 100% finished. Yeah. See, local disk IO, there is 0%. From remote disk, it was 10%. Okay. Then your bytes, total bytes that were scanned about 3.51 GB. Percentage scanned from cache. How much was it taken from cache? If you see here, 0%. So the cache that we are talking about here is not the result cache, but it is the cache of warehouse, the one that comes here. Okay. And the bytes return into result, which is your result cache, 2.69. Okay. And total partitions. So right now, that tomorrow we are going to start micro partitions. So right now you can, I'll just tell you that behind the scenes, data is stored in form of partitions. Just think of it as of now. tomorrow we are going to cover in detail also, which is the tomorrow's topic. So all the data that gets stored in Snowflake is stored in form of partitions. So total there are 237 partitions, and total it scanned 237 partitions because we did not give any where clause here anyway, right? So we need to bring all the data. So that is, it shows you how many total partitions it scanned from the remote disk. And this is your warehouse cache. So we can see that 100% it has retrieved from remote disk only, which is your third layer. This one, all the data it retrieved, all the 3.5 GB data, it retrieved from here. Because for the first time we fired that query, right? Now, if I fire this query again, okay, let's do that. Earlier it took 1 minute 26 seconds. Now look, 66 milliseconds. If you hover over it for the first time, if you hover over it, see the metadata here. For compilation, for queuing, for execution, how much it took, for compiling the SQL, how much it took, okay? For executing from warehouse, receiving requests from client, all these steps, how much time it took for the first time. The second time, see, just compilation, execution, that's it, and 66 seconds. Now, if we go to the query ID now again, and see here, how many rows it retrieved, how many scanned bytes it scanned. So 0. It did not scan anything. It did not have to scan anything because we just studied that any query that you fire gets stored in the result cache at the Snowflake cloud service layer, right? That's what happened in our case. So nothing was required to be scanned from the remote disk or even from the warehouse disk. So if you go to the profile, you'll see query result reused. The result cache, it is called as a query result cache also. Okay, guys, that query result cache, it got reused. Okay, now I will go and query from other user, that same query. And let me change the warehouse also. See, again, this is other user, right? This ABD31, and I also used a different warehouse, not that compute warehouse. Earlier we had used compute warehouse, right? So I use this. It did not even start it. See, it did not even start this warehouse. It's in suspended mode only. So if I now go and click on the query result here, see, it used the query result metadata. Oh, sorry, result cache, not metadata. Sorry, result cache. Other user, other warehouse. That's what we just read in the definition also, right? So this data now will be available till tomorrow, 9:35 or whenever we fire 9:38, something like that. It should be available till tomorrow. After that, it will be gone, and again, it will use the remote disk. This is your result cache. Now, what I'll do is, there is a parameter in Snowflake where you can turn off the result usage of result cache. It is called as use cached result. By default, it is always true. Okay, and this is a parameter related to your Snowflake. So if I say show parameters and like see, the value is true, default value is also true, and if enabled, query results can be reused between successive invocation of the same query as long as the original query result has not expired, right? If the result, I mean, if it's basically it's trying to say if it's more than 24 hours, obviously it will not be used. Now, if I do it false, I mean, that means we don't want to use result cache. It means that. Okay. And see, if I fire this query now, what happens? So what will happen? Again, this guy will fire the same query. Right now, we have said we don't want to use the result cache. How? By setting this parameter as false. This parameter means that we don't want to access the result from here. Don't access the data from result cache. By no means it means that Snowflake, we are telling Snowflake to not store the data in result cache. It doesn't mean that. Snowflake will go and store it there. Still it will store. But this parameter is only for saying that even if it is stored, if you make it false, even if it is stored there, don't bring it from there. That's what we are trying to say. It doesn't mean that Snowflake will not store it. Okay, so I guess I have made it false. Yeah, so it is false. Now, and it is at the session level, guys, always. See, it is at the session level, means this setting is only applicable in this session. If I go and open a new session, okay, let me go here and I will fire that same query again. I'll fire the same query again here. Same query. First, let me see the value here. See, it's true. Here it is true. Here it is false, which means this parameter provided by Snowflake is at session level. So if I go and fire this query now, it's damn quick, which means obviously it has come from result cache at the cloud service layer. It's also called as query result cache also. Okay, now here we have turned off this parameter to false. Let's see what happens. What do you think will happen? Vinod, can you tell me? My question is to Vinod.
I think it will be true.
No, I have set this parameter to false. This parameter is false now. So that which means we are saying that we will not use the result stored here at the service layer. We will not use that. So what will happen? What do you think will happen now?
It will fetch from the local disk cache.
Right.
And it will take time, I think, right? It will take time.
Yes. See now. I have opened the profile. See, it is taking percentage scan from cache, 100%. It's not, and you cannot see the remote disk here at all. Can you? Earlier you saw that there was a remote disk IO, some 10%, 20%, right?
Yes.
It's not there anymore. So first time when we had fired this query, it had got the data from remote disk, it got into local disk, it processed everything, and it sent it back to result cache. Second time, we said we don't, even though it's here, we don't want to use it. So Snowflake layer, cloud service layer said, okay, go ahead, virtual warehouse, do your stuff. So it said, okay, I don't need to go here. I already have that data here. Let me use that itself. So, but so the question might be, why is it taking time then? Right. So my question is to Shiva, why is it taking time? 1 minute, 23 seconds. Why did it take time?
The compute, the processing, right? The processing happens in this layer. The
Very good.
reprocessing.
Exactly. Very good. So processing still has to be done, right? Because the data is here. That's right. There's no issue in that understanding. But if the result is not stored here, it's the data that has come, but it is processing. It has to do the processing. In case of result cache, it's not doing any processing. It is simply giving you the result back to you on your screens. Here, even though data is here, and here processing also, we have not done any special processing here. We have just said get all the data. So still it has to get all the data. Okay, so that processing takes, in this case, processing takes a little time, which is 75%. See, remote disk IO was 1% because maybe it did not bring all the data last time back. And percentage scanned from cache was 74%. Right now, if I go and fire this query here, I have not enabled or disabled as such the use cache result area. So it will still get me the result back from query result because this is other user and other session. Let me let me disable here also in the other user. Okay. So Arumugam,
Abdul, when we
Yeah.
have a new session, it will be a default value of true, right?
yes.
So it will not fetch from the local disk, right?
Yes. So this is a new session here, which I'm showing,
Okay.
and other user also. User also is different. Session is also different. So I just fired, and it brought me back from the result cache.
Okay.
Okay.
Abdul, is there any way that I can set in the database level? Hello.
Yeah.
Is there any way I can set this
No.
use cache itself for database level?
No.
It is only specific to session, and also
Session. Yeah.
session also. Even is it possible to set at the user level?
What this?
Yes. For example, if anytime if ABD 31 logins, it should be always use cache result equal to false.
Let's see.
Should be there.
Because these are all account level. Some of them are account level, some are database level. So I don't remember which one is this, but let's see. Result use is enabled, but can be overridden at the account, user, and session level using the use. Yes, you can. Yes. At account level, user level, and session level. These three levels you can do.
Yeah, because it is like Oracle. Oracle, or accelerated order, maybe it can set at the all levels. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and also I have one more question, right, Abdul? You have 1% of the remote disk access, right? For example, I have 100 records, right? My previous query brought the whole 100 records into an warehouse storage area, right?
Yeah,
Right.
local
It
disk.
fetches local disk, right?
Yeah.
Now there is a meanwhile there is a one more record got record. The table has 101 records. Now, right? If I if I run the query saying okay, don't use the result cache, right? Then it will do processing from the EC2 instance or whatever those SSD, right? If there is another record insert into the table storage area, will only the additional record bring it to this database and even its instance level and reprocess?
Yes,
Or
yes, we'll
yeah,
see.
maybe that.
Yes, we'll see that
Yeah,
in some time.
I have. Yeah,
I think you had asked the same question on the very first day,
I don't know either. I will wait for that.
or in a demo or somewhere. I don't remember, but you had asked, and I was going to remind you that you had asked, and let's see. So we will see that.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So guys, this can be set at user level, account level, and session level. Here this is which user? This is different user now. So until here it is not by default it is always true. Okay. Whenever you log in, by default it is always true. See, result reuse is enabled by default. Okay, and this is also important. Each time the persisted query result for the query is reused, Snowflake resets the 24-hour retention period for the result up to up to a maximum of 31 days from the date and time that query was first executed. So what it means is, I had the very first time, like I think 20 minutes back, very first time we had fired this query, right? So it is there now. We said that it is there for the next 24 hours. From that past, that 20 minutes onwards to next 24 hours. But when I keep firing this, my 24-hour period, retention period also starts increasing. So I just fired it now, 2 seconds back. So tomorrow, so that retention period start time is now taken from time right now. It changes. Okay, Snowflake changes it. It will not keep it from that first query time, which was 20 minutes or 25 minutes back. It will not keep it to that way. It will just change the start time at the time which you have fired now. But it will only do this up to 31 days. After that, it will remove it from the cache. That is what it is trying to say here. Each time the persisted query result for the query is reused, Snowflake resets the 24-hour retention period for the result up to a maximum 31 days from the date and time that query was first executed.
Yeah, maybe that is billing cycle, right? So
yes.
When the one billing cycle, I can only use one.
Exactly.
I can only use the one. Yeah. The next billing cycle, they want to charge.
Yes. Exactly. So keep that in mind. And yeah, so I have not made it false yet. I will make it false now, which means we are not going to use the result from the result cache. And we are in a different user. See, so I was going to ask this to who? Arumugam. Yeah. So Arumugam, now I am in a different user. Okay. And I have made this cache result as false. So now what will happen to this query which I fire?
Still, this will take from local cache only, right?
Okay. Now let's fire it. Let's go to the profile. So guys, so Venkat, what do you think? From where will it take? Arumugam said from local disk.
It's from local disk only, I think so. Amtul.
Okay, Vinod.
From the local disk, Abdul.
Okay, Shiva.
I don't think so. It is in local disk because, right, we see the 1% of additional remote access data, right? The new data also would have been added in the EC2 instance storage area, right? Now it is responsibility of Snowflake to fetch those new record also and cache into this new set of data into this cache. It should fetch from EC2 instance storage data.
So that is local only.
Local, no, not result cache. It is maybe we cannot say. I think what I believe is if there is no change in the storage data,
Yes.
it can bring from
Local.
EC2 instance. Local.
Yeah. So storage at EC2 instance or warehouse level, basically. I mean,
Yeah,
not
local disk. Yeah, it should get it from local disk unless if there is no, if service layer did not detect any change in the remote disk data.
Yeah, it did not. We did not do any changes, right? We just simplified this query. That's
Yeah,
it.
then it should be from local data.
See? Shiva, you said from local. Why it's not bringing from local? Why is it not listening to you? Okay, I'll give you a 5 minutes break, guys. I'll be back in 5 minutes. I want you to think over it. I'm keeping this. Which part? Even if you know the answer, just hold. I'll come back in 5 minutes. Let me see where the answer is. Okay, so I'm keeping this slide open. I'll take 5-10 minutes and I'll be back. Okay. Think of the answer. Hey guys, I'm back. So any luck? Any
Yeah.
answers?
Yeah, Abdul, this is Venkat.
Yes.
So, two things I thought. One is that first you were given the select and then you were given the alter of the changes actually that service layer false. So first it will execute and will take the result and then it has made the false. That's one thing. Is it correct?
So local disk is not related to this cache. Okay, this is only for the cloud service layer cache, result cache. It's not for the local disk. So what we were saying that we have switched this parameter off, and so it should be taking. So everybody said it should be taking from local disk, but it did not, right? So so this parameter is not related to local disk. Okay, so yeah, anybody else?
I think the other reason what I could think of is the warehouse state. Maybe the warehouse could have been gone to suspend state since we are not using for 10 or 15 minutes or whatever the ideal time that we set.
No,
The
but
warehouse is
when I had fired this query, that time it
Uh-huh.
was that compute warehouse was in start this resume state only. It was not in suspended state. Okay,
that
okay.
also
The other thing is, if it is, suppose if you are saying it is in suspended state, so
yes, right.
that time, I mean, firstly it was not okay because I made sure that I start this query when compute warehouse is not in the suspended. So if you say if it is suspended, you're right, it will remove all the cache from it. But that is fine. What you're saying is fine. But in this scenario, no, that was not suspended when I had run this query.
Okay.
Okay, Arumugam. Somebody messaged. I think Arumugam messaged. I think he also asked the same thing. Okay, so that
Yes.
is also not right. Although what you're saying is right, but in this case, it's not right. What is your opinion, Vinod?
I think from the local, it was picking.
No, it was not. It's picking from remote. It's 0. This is 0%. Percent is scanned from cache, and this cache is local cache, not cloud service layer. It says 0. Okay.
No idea, Abdul.
Maybe another try is that this Venkat, you are given a different user uses the different cluster actually. Maybe in the cluster in the sense the diagram shows the different local storage actually. So maybe the first user storage might be cluster and result in somewhere, and again so second it's different. Is that kind of way?
Not exactly, but you are somewhat closer. Okay, let me tell you the answer, guys. So this local disk cache, when we had fired, I mean, first time when we fired this query, it brought it into the local disk, and it was in the compute warehouse layer. But when I fired this query, I fired it from test warehouse layer. So this is a completely separate warehouse. It is not having that local disk which is in compute warehouse. That is so okay. Let's understand from here. This is my warehouse, right?
Yeah, got it, Abdul. Got it.
Yeah, you got it. I mean, just for others understanding. So this is our computer, and there is a solid state local cache in every computer, right? So this is compute warehouse. So when we fired the query, all the data came into, suppose this particular node. It came here. This is our local disk, and next time again when we fired the query, it took it from here. in case the result cache was disabled. Now this is, I fired this query from test warehouse, some other warehouse, test warehouse. Okay, so it has also got its own computers, right? It has also got its own nodes and all that stuff. And internally, each computer has its own solid state drives. So when this is trying to fire the query, same query, the result cache is separate. It's not going to take it from there. So here, this particular warehouse SSD, it doesn't have that data. And this is not related, they cannot interact with each other, right? And neither it can send this whole data to this warehouse. So this will have to fetch from remote disk. Did you guys understand?
Yes.
Now, again, when I fire this query, this time it will take from local warehouse. Now this got started also. And if I go to this query here now, there will be a new plan that will be generated. So sometimes, it just gives error because you just started the query, but you can just keep going back. And isn't done. No. Is this old plan? Okay, let it complete anyway. Yeah, so this time it should get it from your local disk, because this time it has got it into the local disk for this warehouse. But it will not get it again, okay? Because if you see, it had got suspended in between. The time we talked, I fired this query, waited for 10 minutes, and we stopped. So it will not, basically, I'm aborting it, but it will not get it from local cache right now because it got suspended in between. You guys saw, right? It was in suspended mode. That's why it will not get it again. But had I fired it immediately after that, it would have got it from local disk. So do you trust me, or should I fire it again and again? Should I fire it again to show you?
Yeah, it's
Or-
okay.
It's fine, Abhi.
Okay, so maybe you guys can also try this. Fine. Now we saw all this. What is running from warm? From cold is direct from remote disk. Warm is when you disable the result caching and repeat the query. This makes use of local disk cache. Okay, and from hot means we again repeated the query but with result caching switched on. Okay, so cold, warm, hot. This is also sometimes asked in certification. And Snowflake doesn't charge for caching data. It doesn't charge you. Cool. Okay, guys. So there is very little part remaining for caching. So what we'll do is we'll continue tomorrow. But in the meantime, we'll quickly see what Shiva was asking on a smaller data set. Okay, so he was asking, let me. So yeah, it did a full table scan. Okay. And it gave us the result. And it did a full table scan. Nothing was taken from the cache. If I fire it again, it took it from cache. Okay. And now if I alter it, and run it again, percentage scan from cache is 100%. Okay. So now at this stage, we will insert one row. Shiva, that's what we wanted to check, right? We will just insert one row.
Yeah. Insert rows. Is it 100% from what is it? What code? Storage, remote access, or it is additional records only being scanned from remote access, remote storage.
Right. Okay.
Maybe you can insert 5, 10, 3, 4 records. Yeah.
Okay. So we have Shiva. We have Vinod. And we have Arun. Okay. So guys, you can do insert like this also, or you can do like this also for multiple rows. Okay. Commas. In one statement also, I mean, through just writing one insert, and you can store multiple rows, insert multiple records. So you have to give all the columns related to first row like this in a open close bracket, give a comma, and give all the other rows information also. Cool. So we have inserted 4 rows. I have disabled the cache, result cache, also called as query result cache. Now I will fire this. And one more thing, guys, whenever it brings from the result cache, right, you will never see the rows. This will be always blank because it doesn't have to scan anything. So that thing we were seeing, right? 0 scan, 0% scan, rows brought up 0. That's why it's taking from result cache. That time you will not see here anything. So let's go. Cool. So yeah. So see, it bought the whole thing from cache. Result cache. Oh, sorry, warehouse cache. Okay, because it inserted, for inserting also, it had kept it in the cache first, and then it went to your remote disk. But while fetching it back, it did not have to go to remote disk because it had already inside the caching area. So
Sorry, Abdul, sorry, I got a call. I got to follow that. You mean to say after insert, what happens?
no, see, first it was for doing processing of inserting. It had to do it in its insert. First, it had to compute it at the warehouse cache level, right? And then it stored it permanently in the remote disk. But when we try to fetch it back, it already had it at the what do you call remote? I mean cache level. So it brought it from there only. It did not have to get it from remote disk.
How these additional 5 records came to the local cache?
Yeah, so while proceed, okay, one thing about local cache, it's a bit dicey, okay? Always it's a bit confusing. Now, so if we come back to this again, if I do a change in the where condition, suppose, where I'll say C1 equal to 1, okay? I have changed the query altogether. If I fire it, If I go to the profile, see again, even though I have changed the query condition, it still gets it from the cache only. Okay, so if Snowflake is intelligent in that case, I mean, if it feels or if it, I mean, what it doesn't feel anything, obviously it's not a human being, but through its algorithms, if it sees that, okay, even though the query has changed, is it possible to get it from the cache itself? So local cache, so it will do that. It will not go to remote. So understanding this can be little confusing sometimes, but as I said, I just showed you this where clause, I added it, right? So, and it ideally should have gone to what you call remote disk, because I had changed the query completely, but it did not, because
So
it
it is
knows.
not required. See, it is not required. Abdul, see, sorry. For example, if there are 10 records, for example, right? The 10 records is already brought into local disk now, right? Even if you change any query, which is the limit of the 10 record, maybe run the group by or get the max of the 10 record or filter only 5 records, whichever the limit which is not required to go to the remote, the Snowflake should refer only the local disk. But
Okay.
adding 5 more columns, right? Deleting 5 more columns, adding 5 columns or adding 5 rows or removing 5 rows, right? These are the change that Snowflake has to go to remote disk and get it back, right? When you insert 5 records, I was wondering how the 5 additional 5 records got into local disk. That is what my question. Right?
Yes, so I also don't know about it, but what I think is it has done this processing on these records first at its local cache, and then it has stored it into permanent cache. And when it was trying to retrieve it, it did not
Yeah,
retrieve it
that may
from
be
it.
the reason. That may
Yeah.
be the reason. Maybe
But I am not
Snowflake
100% sure, okay? Because
Yeah.
this I have in my experience seen little weird things happening when it comes to local cache, and in documentation also such scenarios are not mentioned actually, like why it takes from the local cache. So that's why I said it's a little bit dicey when it comes to local cache. Okay, I mean, anyway, so coming back to your question, like if you have fetched so many records and if you want to do some aware clause on that particular set, so see, right now I have enabled the cache to true back, okay? And I suspended the warehouse also. So everything is gone now, okay? Everything is gone, and it was not there in result cache anyway, because at that time it was false. So first time I'm going to fire it, so it will take from remote. Okay, this is percentage is 0, right? Now, second time, I took the whole table scan, right? Now I will fire the where clause. Okay, and the cache is enabled. So Shiva, so as per what you're saying, like it should take from result cache and filter by this column and send it. That's what you're saying.
No, because right, the cache, right? Now again the processing, which means that filtering out the C1 records, right? Which should happen only in the local disk. It cannot happen in the result cache. What I understand, any processing should happen only in the local disk. That cannot happen from the result cache. That is what I see. The filtering cannot happen in the result cache. Got it right? My answer.
Yes.
You got my answer.
Yes, that's correct. So guys, because it involves processing, right? Because I added one condition here, which means it will have to take out that particular filter from the set of these rows. That's what this query means, which means it has to process. And cloud service layer is not a processing layer, correct? So from result cache, always only that result will come which has not changed, and exactly that same query needs to be fired. And also it should not have changed. Then only it will give you from result cache. For example, that was the difference in local cache. When I had got this first from from the remote disk, that is our permanent storage, and then I had fired this where C1 equal to 1, it next time, even though I am firing this query for the first time, this filtered query for the first time, it did not go to the remote disk. It said, okay, in local cache only I have all the records, I will do processing here only then. So that is how Snowflake is quite optimized, guys. I mean, you don't have to worry about all these things. Okay, so don't get confused about this local cache. It's sometimes very dicey, and in documentation also, I have not seen anything which clarifies on the exact algorithm or how local cache will work. But as far as result cache is concerned, if the query is as it is, and if there's no change in the underlying table, you will get it from result cache. Okay, for example, if I just go back and take all the data back again, I had just got it from result cache sometime back. So again, I got it from result cache. And suppose I say, okay, I will add just what do you call it, alias to the table. I'll get the data back. See, it had to go back to local cache. So even the exact query has to be same, because you have changed this. It's okay. You have not changed the underlying data that has to come back, but you have changed the alias and also it has to recompile it, right? So it has to re-authenticate it, whether it's a correct query or not. So in that case also your result cache will not be used. Now again, if I fire the same query, this time it will go and use the result cache because this query already had come. So there are three main things when you want to use your cache result. This has to be true. By default, it is always true. The query has to be exactly same the second time also. Okay. And the underlying data should not have changed. For example, I'm going to fire this query again and add one more row here. Okay.
Maybe Abdul, can you add one more row and update also same time?
Okay.
Update one row also, insert and update.
Okay. I will update 9. And update. Okay. So let's first look at the insert and then I will show update also. So let's insert one row and fire the exact query same as it is. Okay. So although the other 8 rows were already there in the result cache, right? But one extra row we added. So still that means it has to process. It has to process it again. So it went and took it from local cache again. Okay. So it did not use your result cache. But if I again enter, this time it will take the result cache. And now we will do update. We will do update and maybe change one name. Like maybe Venkat's name will change. C2 equal to Venkat, your surname is Sampath, right?
Sampath, yes.
Okay, I'll keep it as S. Okay. C1 equal to 6. One row updated. Let me go back and so it will not get from result cache anyway. Right? See, it did not get from result cache. And again, it got it from the local list. So from this I can infer, or maybe I'm not 100% correct. I mean, I'm not sure whether I'm correct or not. What I think is first it did the operation on its local cache and then it stored it permanently. That's what it looks like because it is showing 100% from cache, still from cache. And maybe even if it's getting from the remote disk, it is so minimal that it is not trying to mention that percentage. It's not breaking that percentage. It could be that also because it's just one row which it had to update, right? Maybe let me update all the rows to some common name. This is always auto commit, guys. I mean, when we fire just query standalone way, that time it's
You can
all
also delete one row also of the.
Yeah. I will delete your row. Is it okay, Venkat, to delete your row?
Yeah.
See, again from cache or leasing. So that's why I told you it is a little dicey and little confusing when it's come to local cache. When will it fetch from remote disk? When it will not fetch? It is a little dicey. And in documentation, at least I have not seen. If you guys go and read, and if you find something, please let me know also. But at least I have tried to also see this reason why it does like this, but I have not seen it yet. And maybe it is directly doing on remote disk only, and the percentage is so minimal that it is not showing in the statistics. But yes, the rest of the rows it is definitely getting from local cache only, because there is no change there. So that is how. But in case of result cache, which is at cloud service layer, it that will not happen because processing is involved. Because underlying data has changed, even if it's one record, or even if it's one record updated, deleted, or inserted, still it requires processing. So it will not go and fetch from result cache. It will have to go from local cache or remote cache, either of them. Okay, so don't worry about this a lot. I mean, if it's I know local disk is a little confusing, and you want to uh, get exactly know why it's doing like that. Just take it easy, let it go. I also don't know why it does like that. But yes, Snowflake is very intelligent, I can say, in that perspective. So any other way thing you want me to do and check? You want to check any scenario with left?
Maybe you can update all the rows, Abdul. Maybe.
Percentage update, maybe the names as same name for everyone.
Okay, just one thing. We just updated one name, right? So I will just fire this query. This time it got from the metadata cache. Okay. So see, each time you are firing the query and it is not taking from metadata. That time it is storing the latest results in metadata result cache. I don't know why I keep saying metadata, but result cache. So next time when you fire the query, it gets you the result back. Okay. Now Venkat is saying they update all the names to one name. I updated all the records. Okay, this is your update statement. Okay, see, it scanned again from this thing. Or maybe what happens, what I think is that it immediately does not write permanently to S3. Maybe that could also be the reason. Okay, maybe later on, or maybe when the warehouse is getting suspended, that time it is going and storing into S3. Even that could be the reason. It is as of now temporarily residing at local cache only, the changes. And because committing one by one is costly in any database which we have seen.
Abdul,
Yeah.
I don't think that is true, because if the same table is being accessed through different warehouse, right?
Yeah.
That time, whatever you deleted or updated, that should bring immediately, right? That is, if you say that it will only update the cache, it won't update immediately to storage. That I don't think that is true.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Fair enough. Because if we are using other.
Yeah, I'm running the same select star from the table where you updated the record, right? Through different warehouse.
Yeah.
So whatever you updated should immediately
yes.
bring back to.
Yeah. That should not be the case. Yes. It should not be that case.
So the case should be immediately it will update the storage as well as whatever the local storage, wherever the data is being copied into a local storage across all the warehouse or any warehouse, right? That the change also should propagate to other local cache. That is what I believe. That maybe
No, local cache it will not propagate to other warehouses. It will other warehouses will.
Wherever. For example, I have two warehouses, right?
Yeah.
Both of the warehouse have the cache of the table.
Their own. No. What? Local cache?
Yeah, local cache. For example, warehouse 1 and warehouse 2, both the warehouse put select star from the table, some table.
Yeah.
Both the local cache has the data of the table what you have updating now, right?
Right.
When you are updating the table,
Hmm.
right? When you are updating the table, so which means that it is updating the local cache of wherever you are updating.
Yeah,
Right,
that particular warehouse. For example, if
that
compute
particular
warehouse is,
warehouse.
yeah,
Yeah, you
correct.
updated, right?
Yes,
But
yes.
the other person also fetch the data of the same table through other warehouse. The
Right.
changes what you are updating, right? That changes should also happen in the local cache of the warehouse too.
No, it will not happen. This is called shuffling. This is called shuffling. That will not happen. But what you are trying to, what you said, that permanently, as soon as we update, it will also update permanently the storage layer. Okay, and uh, and since that will be available to the other warehouse from directly from the storage layer, it will not update the local cache of this.
Okay, you mean to say the warehouse 2 should go to the remote disk and get it again back? Yeah.
Yes. So
okay.
see,
That is
I
also
just
possible. Yeah.
see, I just updated this. Let's go and take the other warehouse. Okay. So I change the warehouse. Okay. See, 0 from the local list.
Yeah,
So
because it goes to
remote disk.
Remote disk. Yeah, that also makes sense. Either this or that.
Yeah. So it will never update all the caches of only the cache of that particular warehouse that you have run. Okay. So anyway, we just updated this, right? We just updated this 8 rows, and yeah. So is anybody asking something?
No, we are fetching.
For the 15 seconds, we are not able to hear.
Is it okay now?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. So I just updated this, all the rows, all the 8, 9 rows, whatever there were. And I will now set star. Let me do it again. I don't know what happened this time. Do it again. Updated. So I got it from the cache itself. So the only thing you can understand is that it is writing to remote disk also, and it is updating at remote disk also. It is updating at cache level also for that particular warehouse. But if I go to the other warehouse now again, test warehouse,
it should fetch from the storage.
No, it is fetching from the result cache. See, I had fired a query back here already, this select. I had fired
through different warehouse.
Yeah, but the cache is still enabled here, right?
Correct, but now you have updated the data
got
to
changed,
C2,
right?
Yes, listen. See, first I updated this. Okay. Then I fired this query. Okay. So it went to the local cache, and again I fired the same query.
Yeah, got it.
Okay. So again, what I'll do is I will not fire this query here. I'll fire it here.
Now it goes to storage.
Right. Local remote storage. And one more, again, we will do one thing. We will disable that cache in the other session. We'll disable it there. It will not fetch it from the result cache. Let me just disable. Okay. Now I will go and update again. Okay. I have fired this. I have done the update. Fired. It will go and take it from local cache only. Now I will go to the other session where I have disabled, although it is there in the cache, it is residing in the cache, but I'm saying I don't want to use it. Okay. And this is the other warehouse. Okay. Scan from 0. So it is taking from the remote storage. And again, if I fire it, it will take from local.
Local.
Okay, guys. Can I take more 10 minutes to quickly talk about metadata cache? Just 10 minutes it will take.
I think we
Yeah.
can do tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, it's already in our time. Indian time is 10:40.
Yeah, no problem. I just thought I will start directly with fresh topic tomorrow, but it's okay. It will take anyway 10-15 minutes tomorrow. We can spend on that and start new topic. It's fine. Okay. Okay, guys. Thank you. Before winding up, any questions?
Maybe last question.
Yeah.
So that is the case, no? See, if I can take anything from update or insert from the cache itself, maybe the cache stays for 1 day. So maybe after 23 hours, I put a select. Again, it will remain for another 1 day, right? That means without no credit, I can use for till 1 month also. Maybe like multiple tables. Maybe I will commonly use a finance table.
Yeah.
Finance table. Then that the first time alone I'll get the credit. From
Yeah.
next time onwards, maybe no, I will put a job every 23rd hour. Just refresh. That means without credit, I can use for 1 month itself.
Yes, but your underlying data should not change.
From cache, it's taking right now. Abdul. It can insert, update, everything. It's taking from cache, right?
No. Which cache? There are 3 caches. Which cache you are talking about?
Local cache.
So local cache you are saying?
Yes.
Local cache, it doesn't stay for 23 hours, 24 hours. How
Yes.
much does local cache stay for?
1 day, right? 24 hours. So,
No. It doesn't stay for 24 hours for local cache.
I think only the result cache is for 24 hours and local until the virus gets suspended.
Correct. So local cache data is there only till your warehouse is on. So if you are okay, it's fine. You are taking the data from cache again and again. But then you have to keep your warehouse on for that. That will be charged because your warehouse is on.
oh, okay.
Okay. So you have to strike a balance on that. And the 24 hours that you're talking about is only for the result cache. That is the cloud service layer cache. See, this one, this cache.
Okay. I got it, Abdul.
Okay, but that is a good question. Because you know that there it will be a trade-off, between keeping your warehouse on for so much time and, you have to understand your requirement, take decision based on that.
Okay.
Any other questions from anyone? So guys, today or tomorrow, whenever you get time, go and do this query history and caching. And if you're interested, do these all takes very less time, 15 minutes. Whatever topics we have studied, at least you can do those level of concepts. You can, and if you don't want to do it today, just do it during the week when we are not connected together, right? That time you will be in touch also. Okay, I'm in touch and just doing one topic, and if I have some doubts, I can go refer back to this PowerPoint and just see. And we are naming the recordings also as topic wise. So if you have any doubts in a topic, you can just go find that recording, open that topic and see what we have talked about. Okay. So can we call it a day now?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you so much and have a good night and good day.
Same to you. Sir.
Bye.
Thank you.